Welcome to the Curragh, and welcome to the all-new Seat Leon. Thanks to TP Waters in Kildare for letting us drive the all-new Leon. We're going to take a look around Seat's new hatch that's packed full of new technology and features. We'll go through the exterior and the interior and take it for a drive to see if the Leon is now better than its more expensive sibling, the Volkswagen Golf. The all-new Leon is now in its 4th generation, and it shares its chassis with other Volkswagen Group hatchbacks like the new Volkswagen Golf and Skoda Octavia. The Leon has always been one of Seat's best-selling cars, and it looks as though that will continue with this all-new model. Let's have a quick reminder of how it all began for the Leon. The first ever Seat Leon was introduced to the world back in 1999. It was marketed as the sportier and more reasonably priced alternative to the Volkswagen Golf. It used many of the switchgear and materials from its more expensive sibling. The second generation came along in 2005 with a more rounded design, and again it was based on the Golf but gave drivers a sportier driving experience. The third generation Leon evolved further into a car that really put it up to every other competitor in the hatchback market. It offered Volkswagen Group build quality and engines at a reasonable price. And now in 2020, we have the all-new model, ready as ever to stir up the hatchback segment once again. So let's have a look around this new model. We'll start off with the exterior. And from the front, this new Leon is instantly recognisable as the latest generation of Seat. It's been brought in line with the styling seen on the new Tarraco SUV, meaning the Leon has a sharp and sporty looking front end. To the design, the LEDs have evolved from the previous generation and now have a much slimmer design. You get front fog lights along with parking sensors, and the radar for adaptive cruise control is below the number plate. The Seat badge is surrounded by a chrome grille that carries on the theme of sharp lines at the front. Moving on to the side, and if you like the previous Leon in 3-door form, you'll be slightly disappointed to hear that it's no longer available. Why? Well, most manufacturers, not just Seat, are dropping the 3-door option on hatchbacks because they simply don't sell. Anyway, 5 doors are more practical, but even in 5-door form, this new Leon still has a sporty silhouette with that sloping roofline at the rear that gives it a sort of a coupe look. This model is spec'd with 18-inch alloys on Continental tyres, which again adds to the dynamic design of this Spanish hatch. This spec of the Leon gets the dynamic sweeping LED indicators, a feature that years ago was only available on Audis but has now trickled its way down through the Volkswagen Group. The rear light bar is also a nice touch and very distinctive at night. The Leon badge is also written in Seat's new model font. In terms of styling, I think the Leon edges the new Golf ever so slightly. Comment below with your thoughts on which looks better. The Leon gets a 380-litre boot. This is level with rivals like the Kia Ceed and Volkswagen Golf. There's no 12-volt socket back here, but there are plenty of hooks and tether points should you need to tie any items down. If you need even more space, the Leon ST, which is the estate version, will be available soon. The Leon is over 80mm longer than the previous model. You really notice this in the back seats, as there is plenty of legroom and decent headroom, even with the sloping roof. I'm around 6'4", and with the driver's seat in my driving position, there was still plenty of room. Storage in the rear is good, with pockets behind the seats and decent sized door bins. This spec Leon gets 2 air vents with temperature controls for rear passengers, as well as 2 USB-C ports. The rear seats of the Leon have a good amount of space and equipment to keep rear passengers happy. The materials used on the door are soft to touch, with Alcantara-like trim on the centre part of the door. The upholstery on this Xcellence model is half leather, half Alcantara, and they combine quite well, giving it an attractive interior look. To the front, and the cabin of this Seat is very modern. This model has the digital driver's display along with the 10-inch touchscreen. It has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a reversing camera, different driving modes, park assist, and the list really does go on. All the technology in this Leon is controlled through the touchscreen. Are there any downsides? While the lack of physical controls may take some getting used to, putting that aside though, interior quality is really quite good, as you would expect from a Volkswagen Group car. There are soft touch materials scattered around the cabin. The steering wheel is also leather wrapped. This model also has keyless entry, automatic parking brake, along with a reasonably sized glove box. There's 2 USB-C ports and a leather armrest with a 12-volt power outlet inside. The interior has a wood-like effect, while the theme of sharp lines and creases that we saw on the outside continues in the interior. The Leon has always been set up to drive slightly sportier than the Volkswagen Golf, and you do notice this on a winding road. The car grips and handles well. If you go for the FR model, the suspension is lowered and firmer again, as the FR is the sport spec of the Leon. This one has the 1.5 TSI 150 brake horsepower and should return around 4.9 litres per 100 kilometres. On the motorway, the cabin is quiet and you could comfortably do a long journey behind the wheel of the Leon. It has plenty of modern driving and safety technology such as adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist and blind spot recognition. The blind spot technology is particularly clever because unlike most cars, the orange light is not located in the mirror but in the door frame itself. This makes it easier to spot and you always know when a car is in your blind spot. From behind the wheel there is very little to fault with Seat's hatch. Steering setup is well weighted and it is probably one of the best hatchbacks to drive, putting it up there with the likes of the Mazda 3 and the Ford Focus. It starts in Ireland with the SE model at just under 24 grand. This undercuts the entry-level Golf by nearly €4,000. This higher end Xcellence model with options is over the 30 grand mark, but it is less than the equivalent Golf. You can get the Leon with manual or DSG gearboxes. The engines on offer are tried and tested throughout the Volkswagen Group. Petrols available are the 1 litre TSI, the 1.5 TSI, which this Leon has, and a 1.5 eTSI mild hybrid. There are also 2 2-litre TDIs with either 115 or 150 brake horsepower. There is a plug-in hybrid model on the way as well. The new Leon has brought the Seat brand on a step further, and it could be the car that brings many people away from crossovers and back into traditional 5-door hatchbacks. It's a solid car that really offers good levels of equipment and is priced competitively against similar models. We're yet to drive the new Golf, but it's fair to assume that this is the closest that Seat's hatchback has ever been to its German sibling. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button for more content like this. We have more cars lined up over the coming weeks that you won't want to miss. We'll see you in the next one, and thanks for watching Deck of Cars.